class was relatively failed experiment. So starting this week, we're going to 100%
On
campus.
so jealous.
Yes, we're going to be on campus.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
on campus. You're not going to be, I thought you were going to say 100% remote.
No, on campus. Which,
Wow, just as the surge comes.
well, yeah, but we'll see how long it lasts. But I mean, the whole hybrid model just really
The hybrid model
has
is
not been working, at least for fashion
the
design.
arts. Yeah.
So I'm really busy today, so I may not do anything
Okay.
myself.
Or you could just be nice to us.
Hold on, this is not.
Yeah, but we're doing the hybrid, and it is exhausting. What with cameras and.
Vertigo issue?
Me, yes.
Is this an ongoing? Just a today.
I have low blood pressure. Sometimes it happens. I can't really tell when it's going to.
Blood pressure as things go is a good ailment to have.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm going to mute everyone if I can do that. Good morning, everyone. I am not going to, you will see students practicing. I think you all know what you're doing, so you don't need to see me. I'm a little dizzy today, so I'm not going to move so much. Okay.
Well, I'm still going to have a camera on because I have to have
All right, so let's start
They're there.
as we have been on our back. Good morning, everyone. I feel like a bat coming in from above. Okay, so if you are comfortable lying on your back, lie on your back. I'm gonna keep moving this until it makes sense. Once you are on, can you hear me? Chris, can you give me a thumbs up if you hear me? Thank you.
Okay, good job.
All right, so lie on your back. Maybe you have your knees bent like you set up the bridge. And so all of these are options. I give options, but I'd like to start out just saying that I hope the assumption is that everything is an option. So option one on your back is you could be very still. You could stay on your back with your knees bent and close your eyes. You could let your knees knock in towards each other, or you could sway your knees side to side. And hopefully, as you lie here, you are transitioning. So I think one of the most valuable things that we get out of civilization and culture and community is some sort of rhythm in our lives that allows us to have distinct experiences. So you go to work and that's something different from being home. Your relationship with your father may be different from your relationship with your mother. You have like holidays, you may behave differently than non-holidays. So it's nice if we have sort of clear transitions to tell our more subtle body what we're doing. So this is our transition into yoga. We know we are doing something different here. So as part of that transition, be more aware of your breathing than you might be at other points in your day. And let that small movement of breath in your body take your awareness to other physical sensation. So maybe most immediately as you breathe, you notice how your rib cage feels, or how your chest feels, or how your belly feels. And then I'll let everybody sort of guide their own scan of their body, maybe led by the sensation as it occurs. So you may feel something very acutely in your chest or your shoulder or in your head, and just let it be where it is. And then let your attention drift away from that spot of most obvious sensation and see if you can just check in. You know, maybe it doesn't bring much up. Maybe you just say, okay, yeah, those are my arms, I feel them, move on. Or maybe it invokes the sensation, or just the time there lets you realize that you're sore or cold or whatever you feel. So let's take about 10 breaths. I will be quiet. Everybody will scan their own body. Okay, so as you approach the end of your body scan, if you haven't been moving, bring a little movement into your body by letting your knees sway side to side. And as your knees sway side to side, you could let your neck turn opposite directions. And then over the next breath or two, you will roll to one side. So pick a side. Roll to that side. And go ahead and lift yourself up to sit. So I'm sorry, live students, I am behind you now because the camera works better on the wall than at the windows. So yeah, why don't you turn around, Amy, if you don't mind. Right, then we'll pretend we're in a group. Alright, so sitting up, we'll bring a little more movement to match the breathing. So you could do this with eyes open or closed. We'll move into a little seated cat-cow. And as you move through your spine, you may notice that it's really your shoulder that wants to roll, or your neck. So let your own body awareness tell you what part of your body needs to move. And if you haven't yet moved into rotation, start a little twist. So moving to one side, and then the other. And of course, as you take these preliminary movements, pay attention to if you feel something that needs your attention later. So if the rotation feels a little stiff, you know, as you maybe do a down dog split, you will be attentive to see if rotation is really working for you today. And then come back to center and take some deeper lateral side bends. So again, if you feel really tight here, maybe that's something to check in with in a radiant warrior. Radiant warrior may feel a little different. And we're going to turn this lateral side bend into a sweep. So sweep yourself forward, lift up on the other side. Forward. And lift. And when you feel even, sweeping left and right, you'll stop at center. Walk your hands forward until you lift yourself up onto hands and knees. So from hands and knees, you may already feel like you've done enough of these multiple spinal movements. So you can continue all of this on hands and knees, or let your knees hover and feel it a little more muscular. So if you're hovering, you can still cat-cow. You can pedal. Run your hands and knees. It'll be a hip sway. And then as that grows into down dog, legs will straighten, arms will straighten, head will hang. And let's start to activate some of the larger muscle groups that will help us in this practice. So from down dog, lift your belly to your spine, roll yourself forward to high plank. In high plank, pause, feel quads engage. So push back through your heels, feel your quads lift up to the femur, feel your belly muscles lift up to your spine, stop in your elbows so your arms are strong, so all major muscle groups are on, and then ripple back to down dog. So again, ripple yourself forward. Maybe that ripple forward even turns into like half a push-up. And then ripple yourself back. If that's too much, you could be moving from a child's pose to a knee down plank. But you're rippling from one posture to the other. So really feel from down dog, knit your ribs together. And yes, so just what you just did, Kristen, feel like your ribs come together in front and that midline between your ribs pushes you forward to high plank. So yeah, exactly. And then this time in high plank, you're gonna lower your knees and lower all the way down into Ashtanga. Or through Ashtanga to low cobra. And now in low cobra, lift your right shoulder a little more, look over your right shoulder. And drop the right, lift the left. You're just sort of moving through one shoulder and then the other. And you could turn it into a little more of a wave. So it could be more lift, lift, lower, lower, and then reverse. Or it could be one shoulder at a time. And then when you feel even in that, push back to child's pose, maybe an extended child's pose, maybe your toes tuck so you continue to get that stretch through your feet. And then knees lift, they just hover. And then slowly legs straighten and heels drop. Right leg lifts, flare your hip. Right knee could bend, you could look over your left shoulder at your right foot. Bring your knee all the way into your nose, tap. And then send your leg back. Knees drop, torso lowers, Ashtanga to low cobra. And then gaze down. Tuck toes, push to high plank or child's pose. And then come up. Left leg lifts, hips flare. Maybe your knee bends. Knee comes into nose, it's a little tap. Keep your shoulders over your wrists, send your leg back high plank. Stay where you are. Hands both stay down. We're not going into a side plank, it's just a twist. Heels drop to the right. Heels drop to the left. Heels back to center, hips high, down dog. Head heavy and feet walk to hands slowly. Knees soften, roll yourself up to stand. So reach your arms high. Big breath in and exhale, fold. Inhale to a flat back. And exhale, fold again. Yeah, fold. And just hang this time. Let your head hang. Shake out your head a little. Let your knees drop. I'm sorry. Let your hands drop, your knees bend a little. And feet step back, high plank. Shift your weight forward, lower to a low plank or low cobra. That's your choice. And then press back up, high plank, down dog. So we're trying to move through a vinyasa. Trying to get the light right. All I see is my nose. All right, in down dog. Right leg lifts again. Hip flares, knee bends. Big breath in. Exhale, bring your knee into your nose. And this time, step your foot forward. Right arm reaches out to the side and up. Take a nice twist. Reach your right hand overhead. Take another breath in, stay here. And as you exhale, reach even farther at that diagonal, left heel and right fingertip. And then hand to the ground, both hands are down. Right foot steps back, high plank. Shift your weight forward. Lower low cobra or low plank, up dog, and down dog. Take a breath, open your mouth to exhale. See if you can find a little softness, a little relaxation, a little rest. And then re-engage left leg to the sky. Breath in. Flare your hip, bend your knee if you'd like. Get that stretch. Take another breath in. As you exhale, bring your knee to your nose. Step your left foot forward. And left arm out to the side and up. So get a big twist. Pull your belly away from your thigh. Right heel and crown of head reaching opposite directions. And then your left arm reaches overhead. So now it's your right heel and your left fingertips reaching away from each other. Another breath in. Hand to the ground. Step back, high plank. And move through vinyasa as it suits you. So see what's happening for you in down dog. Down dog turns into one of those forgotten postures. We don't really think of it as much. We think of it as more an intermediate place than as a shape itself. But it's important because we spend a lot of time here and a lot can be done with down dog. So is this a stretch for you? Is this a rest pose for you? Is this an active working pose for you? It can be all of those things. How I suggest coming into down dog is let there be a little space between your feet so your feet are really parallel. Think about how far apart your hip bones are, and that's about how far apart your feet could be. Let your shoulders, I've talked about Barbie arms sometimes. Think of yourself having Barbie arms. So let your arms be as wide apart that they need to be so there's room for your torso, the width of your torso in between your arms. And then soften your elbows a little And pull them towards each other so your arms and your chest feel really engaged. Great. And now soften knees, maybe rise to your toes, walk your feet forward. And for this one, you're gonna let your head hang unless there's a reason that this doesn't feel good in your back, and see if you can articulate up through your spine one vertebra at a time. Head lifts last. Feel where your back is tight. The amazing thing about our experience of our own body is I think we take it for granted. We assume like, oh, this is what backs feel like, or this is what hamstrings feel like. And it's not necessarily true. What we feel on any given day may indicate that we could find a little more balance in our bodies. So just something to consider. All right, roll your shoulders back. Reach your arms behind you as much as you can, just snow angel arms up overhead. And exhale, swan dive forward. Again, if that feels okay in your back. Inhale to a flat back. And exhale, hands to the ground, step, walk, float, however you get your feet back. Shift your weight forward, continue to move through your vinyasa. So strong arms as you lower, open chest as you lift, and then down dog as you need it to be, as a strong pose or as a rest pose. Right leg lifts, hips stay square this time, so no flaring of the hip. Breath in, exhale, knee to nose. Step your right foot forward, rise up, crescent warrior. See if you can drop your hips, keeping your pelvis sort of square, yeah, nice, like pulling your belly in, and then lift your sternum, and if there's back bend, it happens in the thoracic spine. So if there's any bending in your back, it's in the rib cage, not in the low back. Take a breath in. As you exhale, just pull yourself to like perpendicular, so your spine is perpendicular to the ground. Nice. And release your hands to the ground. Step back, move through vinyasa. So just because I give it shorthand doesn't mean I hope that you give it less attention. Every posture should feel like something distinct. Left leg lifts, hips are square. Left knee comes forward to nose. Left foot steps forward, you rise crescent warrior. Let your spine just be upright before you find the back bend. So you have that straight, strong body first, and then the back bend grows out of strength. Otherwise, especially really flexible people can just collapse back into a back bend. Keep lifting up through your sternum. And then come back to perpendicular. And now fold forward. Make sure that your plank is really strong first before you move on. Even if you're there very briefly, it can still be a strong posture. And then you shift your weight forward, lower. Let your shoulders be broad as you come into up dog. And your legs strong in down dog. So again, particularly for women who are flexible and can be in the shape of down dog easily, it's easy to forget that there's a lot that the legs can do here. All right, rise up onto your toes, soft knees, hips go back. You don't have to jump your feet to your hands, but I like coming into the shape just for the stretch. And then you choose step or jump. Flat back and fold and hang. Shake out your head a little, let it hang. Feel some traction in your spine. And soft knees, your choice, articulate or hinge up to stand. Once you're standing, shoulders roll back, arms reach high, breath in, exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, weight into hands, step or float back, high or low plank, up dog or low cobra, and down dog. So even if you aren't practicing Ujjayi breath, even if you aren't intentionally deepening your breath, be aware of how you're breathing. Feel some strength in your belly when you breathe. Notice that the exhale is an abdominal movement. Hips are staying square, right leg lifts, breath in. Exhale, step forward. Inhale to stand, crescent warrior. Stay here on the exhale, drop your back heel, you're in warrior one. So in warrior one, imagine that you were being held by your hips in crescent warrior and you had to get that rotation in your leg without letting your hip go back. It's unlikely that that would actually happen, but you want to feel that tension in the rotation. Take another breath in. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back, high plank. Low plank. Up dog, pause. Let up dog be long enough that you feel that stretch. And then down dog. Hips are still square, left leg lifts, breath in. Exhale, knee to nose. Step forward. Rise, crescent. Drop your back heel, warrior one. Keep pulling your right hip forward. Pull your right hip forward, your left hip back, and imagine you're being pulled up by the shoulders. So you're being stretched in lots of different directions. Imagine how that would feel. All right, take a breath in and exhale, hands to the ground. Step back, move through your vinyasa. Pedal out your feet. So it's harder with a mask on for sure, but if you're at home, it's nice to sometimes, when it feels right to you, to take a big breath in, open your mouth and exhale. It's incredibly, I have been using this breath as my stress release valve a lot recently. I've been doing a lot of audible exhales. All right, as you are ready in whatever way you like, you're gonna bring your feet forward. So that might be a jump, that might be a few steps, it might be a really slow walk, and then you hang. And this time we're gonna stay in the forward fold and take it into Padangusthasana. So feet separate. Yep, you got it. You don't need to wait for me to cue it if you know where you're going. First two fingers to big toes. And really there's a lot of stretch in the back line of the body here. So that means people feel it in different places. Again, don't assume that where you feel it is just it. It might mean that you're just tighter in that one place. So you can feel it in your Achilles, the backs of your knees, your hamstrings. So any of the muscle really from your high calf up to your hip. You could just feel it in your back, in your neck. But there's some engagement in your arms. So arms feel strong here. And your belly almost pulls away from your legs. So even if you're super flexible and flat against your legs, if you pull your belly so that you pull yourself away from your legs a little, you'll get even more stretch in your back. Did you feel that, Kristen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy because especially those of us who can fold easily, we fold and then we're like, there's not even a stretch here. If you're in that deep fold and then you pull your belly away from your legs, you'll actually get stretch. Okay. All right. Inhale, flat back. Switch your hands to Padangusthasana, hands all the way under feet. This is lovely on the wrists. And then same thing. So if you're a deep folder, if you can fold easily, try to fold and then pull yourself away from your legs. So there's almost rounding in your back instead of a flat back. And you'll get into stretching some of the little tinier muscles, the connective tissue of your back that gets skipped because you don't need it, because if you can touch the ground easily, why would you think to do that? Okay, 3 breaths, I'll be quiet. And then before you come out of the shape, just take a quick scan. Notice where you feel this most. It may not be where you anticipate feeling it, or it may be where you always feel it again, and you just take for granted that that's where this posture is meant to be felt. But notice where you feel it, recognize that you are an individual, your body is unique. And then as you are ready, release your hands from your feet and stand in a conscious way. So rolling up or hinging, but it's what feels right and important in your body. And you notice how it feels the whole way to stand. At the top, just stand for a moment. So standing as you want to, that could be in a really relaxed way. You might be shifting your hips. You might be standing in Tadasana, mountain pose, where you're really engaged. Take a couple breaths, just notice how your body feels. And then we'll start again. So take a breath in, reach arms overhead. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale to a flat back, strong back. Weight into your hands. Shift the weight forward into your hands to take your feet back, whether you're stepping or jumping back. Move through your vinyasa. Okay, Kristen, I would normally go over there and get your stuff out of the way. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to do it?
Oh, well, either way, I'm fine up here.
Okay. So, preparing maybe to flip or no. You're gonna reach your right leg high, flare your hip, don't flip yet, bend your knee. Just see how this feels. So, when you are ready to flip your dog, you waterfall over so that you could stop at any point. If you feel like you're gonna drop over, that might be because your back isn't ready for the movement. So as you can, as is right for you, you will take your right leg into flip dog. And be in this beautiful back bend. Take a couple breaths and think of the arc, think of the negative space underneath your body and that negative space growing. So your hip is lifting up, your knee is pushing away, your arm is not moving, but it's holding still. So the volume of that, or the area of that negative space is increasing. And then you come out of it and take the counter pose that you see fit. So that might just be down dog with 2 feet down. It could be a child's pose, or you might take like the sort of, not a full fallen angel, but like halfway. And now we're gonna do something we don't always do. Now I want you to lower your knees down, come into child's pose, and be still. And just feel the effect of doing a pretty big posture on one side before it's balanced out. Look for those small feelings of asymmetry. Okay. Reach your hands forward, tuck your toes, down dog. Left leg lifts, hip flares, knee bends. And take your time moving into your flip dog. So this is just such an interesting like rotation in the body. It takes a lot of strength in your arms, whether you have 2 arms and 1 foot down or 1 arm and 2 feet down. So feel everything that is holding you up and just appreciate that strength. Don't take it for granted. As you come back, you can take a little counter stretch. And then after your small counter stretch, you'll lower your knees again, take that extended child's pose in stillness. I know that we're several months into this, and it's still really hard to not go give you a back press.
You can do it. Yeah. Horrible.
On Zoom, on screen, I could get in trouble. I'm not kidding, I mean, I doubt that Tasha's actually watching this, but my son's squash coach got in trouble because somebody in facilities took footage of him in to higher ups.
Oh,
Yes, at your fair facility, because the squash coach took his mask off and was talking to Rowan.
oh.
And I felt-
Vigilante justice.
I felt like writing a letter saying, do you have any idea how much time those two people spend together?
Yeah.
Like Rowan should be adopted by his coach. But anyway, okay, I digress too much. All right. So now what I want you to do is start to reach your hands forward, lift yourself up to hands and knees, and you're gonna like sort of move forward through Ashta Pranam again. You've just done like some great spinal movement. So hands forward, head goes down.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna slinky forward, come into a low cobra, which is right where you are, Kristen, and then see if you can grow your low cobra, not by like pressing your head up as much as by pulling your sternum forward. Okay, I'm gonna break rules and touch you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want everyone to think of sternum forward and like your shoulders are rolling back over. Can you do that to me? Yeah. Because we all know that this is actually not transmitted by touch, right?
Right.
That seems to be lost on the ground. Okay, now lower down out of that low cobra. And I will offer bow pose now, because now you're sort of like in this nice back bendy place. Because bow also gives you a great quad stretch that will then help some of the standing postures feel stretchy. So in bow pose, I think I've done this in class to both of you. When classes were more like, it's sternum forward, knee away. So it's this length and this length. Right, so it's heels away from your body and knees and sternum away from each other. Right, lots of reach here. And then lower. You guys are both very beautiful backbenders. You're better examples of that than I am. Okay. So now we're going to see how some standing postures feel after all of that nice extension. So go ahead and you could take a vinyasa or just a down dog, however you want to get back to standing. Do it mindfully, meaning you could just tuck your toes and walk yourself forward and stand, or you could take a whole vinyasa and roll yourself up and release your arms. Okay. We're going to do standing balances now. So the natural extension of bow pulling is dancer, because dancer is standing bow in a lot of ways. So shift your weight into your left foot. You're going to bend your right foot. Bend your right knee. Yep. Beautiful. So I don't want to throw your balance off, Amy, so I'm not going to touch you, but the feeling in your body is that your chest is going forward and your right knee is pulling back and your right foot and hand are pulling up, but your right hip is dropping. So there's all this opposition. So again, sometimes thinking about the negative space helps it happen. So think about that space between your body, your right arm and your right leg, and as if you are just expanding that space by pushing everything out. And try not to slingshot out of it. Yeah, beautiful transition. Moving out of it slowly. Put your right foot down and just stand. So again, just feel that sensation of minor asymmetry. And then weight shifts into your right foot, left foot lifts. Yeah. And when your balance is really good, oh, this is your, yeah, so you're being careful with this knee, right? No, the other one.
But the one that's lifted, you don't wanna like, over bend it for the shape. So anyway, once your balance is really good, then you start thinking about the expansion of that space. So left hip down, left foot and hand up, shoulder and knee away from center. And if you're at the point where you're really just working on the balance, try not to use a wall. Just, bring your foot off the floor. Both feet are down, you're standing. Just enjoying the posture, the ramifications, the implications, the results. Okay, second standing balance posture is, I can't remember the name. It's something Sukta Ardha Padmasana. It's half a Padmasana and it's standing. So your right leg, you're bouncing on your left leg again.
Oh, this guy.
Left foot comes into half lotus. Yes, that was it.
Right or left?
I'm sorry, right foot comes into that. It wouldn't matter, but yes, correct. Okay. So your bent knee, right, so your left leg is obviously not going to do this, right? And that you can worry about it. So, yep,
Triggering.
you may. You can just stay standing or you can fold. Again, this is one of those shapes where this is a great shape for those of you who can do a forward fold really easily, because your foot being there forces you to round over your foot. Are you feeling that, Kristen?
Yeah.
I'm getting all jazzed now that I've gotten in your personal space, feel like a little teacher again. So you too, Amy, if you drop your head again a little more, yeah, you'll be rounding over your foot. And I can't remember everyone who's on. Susan Abrams, if you're here, for sure that applies to you. You want to feel like you're rounding to fold, not just hinging at the hip. Okay, coming out of this is tricky. Beautifully done. Yeah. I always do it that way. All right. And you stand. So in the words of my teacher Yoganam, you stand and you receive the posture. Okay, and then we move to the other side. I maybe, does that feel okay? So yeah, fine. I do it all the time. Okay. Maybe that's why you're wearing a knee brace.
It's just so I don't overextend that I can bring it on.
Yeah. So once you have your hand on the ground, then you can try to round over your leg more. And you'll get all this stretch in the low spine that if your hamstrings are loose, you don't always get, because if you have flexible legs, you tend not to move your low back enough, I think. Does that resonate with you at all, Kristen? That idea that we bend from other places? Do you feel this?
Yeah, that's probably true, yeah.
Okay, so before you come out of it, if you're in the full fold, see if you can be there without your hand on the ground. Just test that. Yeah, and just slowly stand up. That's a very extreme. That's an extreme movement.
Yeah.
So I don't expect that, but I'm offering it. It's like, I don't know what it's like. It's like not drinking but having a great cocktail party. You do it, here. Okay. Roll your shoulders back, maybe separate your feet, let your hips move a little, see how you're feeling. Okay, and we're gonna, in this loosened, more flexible space, we're gonna go back into vinyasa, do some standing postures, see how that feels. So feet back together, arms reach high, breath in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Weight into hands, step or float back through vinyasa. Hips stay square, right leg lifts, breath in. exhale, knee to nose, pause, hold your knee in. 3 more breaths, getting your knee closer to your nose and your ribs farther away from your legs. So growing that negative space. Last exhale, step forward, rise up. Warrior 1, drop the back hip. Open to warrior 2. Try to, Amy, you're right there, you don't need to move. Kristen, try to like straighten your back. Usually pull your belly back. Yeah. So that probably feels weird. Do you
Okay.
feel like you're rounding hard?
Yeah,
You're
but
not.
I should.
You,
Okay.
no,
I
you're
probably jump my,
yeah. Perfect. That'll just keep this this group working more.
Yeah.
All right. Reach back, radiant warrior. So your spine is in a lateral bend, but there's no back bend. Beautiful. Now straighten your front leg and come into Trikonasana, triangle pose. And triangle you can think of in one of 2 ways. You either imagine that you are against a wall and both of your shoulders and both of your hips are trying to come back to that wall, or you pull the bottom hip back a little, you let the top hip fold, and then you rotate away from your hips, and there's a little twist. So those are the 2 options. And hopefully this feels like a really deep stretch. That you're not just hanging out doing nothing. And now start to look down at your bottom foot. Your left hand will lower. Your left foot may need to go to the left a little or come forward a little to revolve your triangle. Right arm out to the side now. So here in revolve triangle, think of right hip reaching back, crown of head reaching forward. One more breath. Both hands to the ground, just hang over your legs, sort of like pyramid pose, but you may not be as active. And then lift up to a flat back. If you think you could do this with your hands on your hips, bring your hands up to your hips, lift up to a flat back. Bend into your right knee again, warrior 1. And open your arms, snow angel, hands to the ground, step back, take vinyasa. Hips stay square and left leg lifts. Knee into nose, pause. You're gonna hold for 3 more breaths. Engaging belly more, maybe using chest muscles more. And footsteps forward, warrior 1. Open up warrior 2. Yeah, so you don't don't change anything. You don't have to tuck your tailbone, you don't have to like round your back, but you don't have to be in the back bend either. Like warrior 2 is really working on the external rotation of that front leg, which only happens when the spine, or which happens most effectively when your spine is in neutral. Reach back, radiant warrior, stay in that neutral spine, pure side bend. Take 1 more breath in, straighten your front leg, and reach for our triangle pose. So I had you here a while, so you have time to experiment with either the 2 spinal positions that are possible in triangle.
you can either stick your butt out or try to be flat.
Yep. So you either think of your top hip as stacked over your bottom hip, or you actually swing your bottom hip out to the side and let your top hip drop forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And your legs are strong here, so the potential danger of triangle is to just collapse into your knees and especially let your front knee hyperextend. You need to stay really strong in your legs. Your adductors, your inner thighs are working. You want to feel like you're pulling your feet together here. That makes it a lot more work and a lot less fun, but it makes it safer. And one more breath. On the next exhale, you're gonna look down at your foot, lower your top hand, adjust your feet if you need to for revolve triangle. Yeah. Yes. Amy, I like that you're keeping your knee micro bent. Good self-care. And you have, so what you're stretching here are mainly the adductor group, the inner thighs, which are really important to stretch for low back health. We often think our back hurts because there's something wrong with our back. Often our low back hurts because our legs are really tight. So you continue to pull your left hip back and you're, starting forward. Another breath in, stay here, twist for an exhale, and then look down at your foot, torso hangs over leg. Pyramid pose. Shake out your head a little. So the alternative way to stand up out of pyramid is to bend your front knee and take your hands to your thigh. Or if you feel like your back can take it, you can take your hands to your hips and lift up through a flat back. Nice. And now soften into your front knee, arms overhead, warrior one. Breath in, exhale, hands to the ground, step back. Flow through the vinyasa of your choosing. Take a few breaths, either in stillness or walking your dog. And then you're either going to jump through to Navasana, or you're going to walk forward, have a seat, and come into Navasana. Okay, sternum lifts, shoulders roll back. So now that we're sitting, I'll take the focus off you a little while. Thank you very much for being my clear-headed demo. So in Navasana, we're going to lower 3 to 5 times, but it's through the spine articulating. So you let your sacrum lower, your low back, your ribs. You keep your head and your shoulders up, and you roll back up. Oh, God. Yep. Take a breath in. Exhale, roll down. Take a breath in at the bottom. Exhale, roll up. One more time, take a breath in at the top. Exhale, roll down. Roll up, you're gonna cross your right leg over your left. Umakasana. Okay. Oh, this camera is far away. Moving the camera. If you're watching me, close your eyes so you don't have to watch it move. So you're in Umakasana. Knee over knee. Both hips down, hopefully. Feet can be in close to your body, or if you don't feel any stretch in your hips, you want
it's harder out. Yeah.
It's harder with your feet away. I think I never even thought about it until you asked me that once in class. I just thought of this as sort of a nothing goes. All right. So
If you still don't feel much, you can start to take your weight forward as far as you need to feel the stretch. Start to lift your torso up. To come out of it, lean back in your hands, bring your knees into your chest, round, recross, and lower left over right. So knee over knee, maybe your feet out to the sides, maybe your torso forward. Go ahead and sit up. You're going to take your hands back behind you again. Knees come in. And then legs extend out for Purvottanasana. You could do it, so this could be your Purvottanasana, or legs out, hips lift. Head can look up. I have a slight preference to you not dropping your head all the way back. Toes are reaching for the ground. Knees are as straight as you can get them. And flex your feet, lower your hips. Bend your right knee in for Janushirasana. So right knee bends in, foot to leg, reach forward. Lift your head, your shoulders, your chest. Slowly extend your right leg. Bring your left foot in. Sit tall and reach long. And sit tall. If you feel like you're losing too much momentum and warmth, you could cross your legs and take a vinyasa. Or you could just cross your legs and pause. So if you're taking a vinyasa, you'll jump through. And we'll all extend the left leg first, right knee bends in. So you can either reach for your left foot at the inside of your right leg, or you can wrap your arms around your right leg and reach your chin forward. Try to keep the right quad engaged. And sit up. Switch legs. Left arm wraps. And slowly sit up. Legs cross. You can take a vinyasa or sit. If you're sitting, you're either still or checking in with some part of your body that needs a little extra stretch. And this time, you jump through, bend your knees, and roll down for bridge. Okay. So bridge or back bends, these particulars, this set of back bends. You could do 3, or you could do 1 and hold it up the whole time. So we'll start out arms at our sides, feet about hip distance apart, feet parallel. Tuck your tailbone, lift your spine up. So you could stay right here. You could interlace your fingers underneath you. And you could stay up in this bridge the whole time. Or you could slowly articulate your spine down. Take a pause, and then lift your spine up for another 5 breaths. And whichever variation you're in, we're gonna lower and lift 1 more time, or you continue to stay. Whatever variation you're in, you should feel like your hamstrings and your glutes, the backs of your legs are keeping you lifted, not the muscles of your back. So when your hips are up, push into your feet, pull your heels towards you a little bit. That might activate the backs of your legs a little more. 5 more breaths. And then we all lower down together. Spine lowers. This time knees knock in, feet go wide. You can lie here for a few breaths, or you can bring your knees in, give yourself a hug, roll yourself up, take a vinyasa. Okay, if you took a vinyasa, you jumped through, you're in bridge, we're all in bridge together. We are going to go into shoulder stand and plow. I'm not, because I can't narrate it and do it, but you all know what I'm talking about. So you're gonna take your legs up, start out in plow, then your hands come under your hips, and you can lift your legs up for shoulder stand. You could also just take your legs up, sort of be in this pike. So if you're here with just your legs up, or you're in shoulder stand, if your legs are pointing towards the ceiling, your legs are straight, which means your quads are engaged. Your legs are together, which means your adductors are working. And your gaze is up. You're looking up at the ceiling or up at your feet the whole time. No turning head side to side. And now legs go overhead for plow. So hopefully you're in a full plow. I'm not. And now slowly roll yourself out of plow. When your legs come to the ground, you can take Supta Baddha Konasana or Supta Padmasana. Take it on your back or up on your shoulders with your head back, or up on your elbows rather. release that posture. This is not the final Shavasana, but take a moment with your legs extended and your arms out. Just be neutral for a breath or two. And assuming your legs are not together yet, bring them together. Bring your right knee into your chest. Hold on to the back of your right leg and begin to straighten that leg. So you're going to straighten, point, and flex. Make a couple circles. And then keeping your left leg active and on the ground, start to pull your right leg overhead. If your head is up, put your head down. Right leg will go out to the right, left hip stays down. Right leg back up overhead. You're going to bend your left knee. So put your left foot on the ground and then let your right leg cross your left. Arms to a T, knees go to the right. Gaze goes to the left. Bring your knees back to center. Right leg extends. Grab onto the back of your left leg. Straighten it as much as you can. And then point and flex. Circle your foot. Both directions. Engage your right leg so it stays down. Bring your left leg in as much as you can. If your head is lifted, head goes down. Left leg goes out to the left. Right hip stays down. Left leg comes back up to center. Right knee bends. Left leg crosses right. Knees go to the left. Head goes to the right. Bring your knees back up to center. Hug your shins into your chest. You can either roll back and forth a couple times or just make circles with your knees. If you're making circles, go both directions. As circles wind down, feet can go to the ground. If you need a pause before you straighten your legs, you can pause with your knees bent. When you're ready to straighten your legs, they can go wide of the mat, arms out to the sides, palms up. Preparing to rest. You could take a couple of deep breaths. Eyes can close. Check in that your whole body is relaxed. Your feet are relaxed, your legs are heavy. Belly relaxed. Rib cage moving freely as you breathe. Arms heavy. Head heavy and face soft. On your next inhale, hold that breath in just long enough to open your mouth and then exhale. Let your head start to move a little, neck move side to side. Legs and arms begin to stretch. And as you start to move, you let your awareness kind of bounce back and forth between your sensation of your physical body, your awareness of your breathing, and then the sensory input of the outside world. So maybe you're noticing what your floor feels like, the temperature of your room, the sounds around you. So just as we try to mark our entry into this practice, we want to transition out of the practice, not just jump up and move on. So give yourself these moments of waking to recognize any fruits of the practice. There are those great days where all we feel is great, and there are those amazing moments where sometimes we recognize something not so beautiful that we realize. It's all awareness is good. All right, so as you increase your stretch, go ahead and roll over. Lift yourself up to sit. Let's round out this practice with a breath together. So round your shoulders back. Take an inhale, reach arms high overhead. Exhale, hands to your heart. Thank you for joining me in person and on screen, and thank you to my demo models for letting me use their postures. Namaste. Thank you. And I just wanted to say quickly before you guys sign off, I'm again in 15 minutes. I'm teaching Yin at 11:30 here, and I'm Zooming it. I'm also going to record it on my Instagram, and it'll always, I have a lot of classes on Instagram, and if you don't know me on Instagram, it's Nathalie.wellness. Nathalie with a, and if you were a friend of mine before I changed it, it just took you automatically. I was just getting some followers that I wanted to unfollow. So I changed my name, and my account is private now. But so if you want to friend me and your Instagram handle is not clearly you, just identify yourself so that I know who you are.
Natalie, what are you teaching next?
Yin.
Oh, Yin. And
Yeah.
on Thursday, you're subbing for Tasha. Are you still doing the Pilates on Instagram?
It'll be at a different time.
Okay, I'll look for it.
But wait, Pilates, yes, I'm sorry, Pilates will be at this, it'll be like 5 minutes later because I have to get home.
Okay. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Shana Tova.
Happy New Year, everyone. Take care.
Great. I kept thinking